Ready? All right, I got 3 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Tom, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think to get things started here, we have a very, very good announcement. We've been fortunate to get to work with these gentlemen and ladies, and we'd like to thank Tom Brown for standing up and being one of their reps too. So I'm going to turn it over to our group from Nebraska.
Hand these out for you guys. My name is Dave Wagner. I am the Senior Development Director for Tenaska. If I can hand these out properly. I might be short one, Maggie. Oh, wait, no, I'm good. Thank you. My name is Dave Wagner. I'm Senior Development Director for Tenaska. In short, we are looking to build a natural gas power plant here in the county, but I'd like to give you a very, very fast, high-level presentation. I know we've got other business after this, so I'll fly through this and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. But essentially, Tenaska is one of the leading private energy companies here in the United States. We've been around since about 1987. We currently own and operate over 7 gigawatts worth of power plants. The majority of those, I believe, are actually natural gas power plants. We actually also have a power management service where we will manage power plants for other companies. In addition to that, we are the largest trader by volume of natural gas in the United States. We handle about 12 to 15% of the gas by volume that travels through pipelines every day. So that is Tenaska in a quick nutshell. We've actually done some work here in Indiana before. We have successfully developed about 10 energy projects in Indiana, and this project is one of 2 projects that we are working on here in Indiana. So, what we're proposing here is a 700 megawatt combined cycle power plant that will be fueled by natural gas. There is a large need in the United States and in the Midwest for dispatchable or baseload power generation. Natural gas is the cleanest way to do that. So there's also a huge demand for natural gas just kind of overall, just from a pricing perspective as well. This is the proposed area that we're looking at doing this. Down at the bottom right, you'll see that's the AEP's Rockport generating facility. The parcel where we are proposing to build is up there located. You can see the pink or purple or whatever you would call that triangle. The yellow line that you see there would be a transmission line where we would generate the power there, and we would run the electricity on a transmission line down that yellow line into the power plant. Since I'm on this slide, I'm going to skip around a little bit on some things. One of the slides coming up is why did we choose the area? And I'll tell you right now, a big reason that we chose the area is because there's kind of a perfect storm of conditions that you need to build a plant like this. Obviously, the nearby transmission facility right there that we can plug into is one of them. Having access to natural gas to supply your power plants is another. There are 2 major pipelines within about 2.5 miles on either side of that parcel right there that we could supply from. And then also you need a water supply as well. There's a very robust aquifer subsystem. I think it's called the Ohio Outwash Aquifer System. Don't quote me on that name. It's somewhere around that, where we would be able to draw water from the subsurface as well. So all of the things that you would need to logistically make the power plant work are all located in this area, as well as from the early research we did, Spencer County seemed like the kind of county that would support a project like this. Let me move on. There's a couple. This is a picture of what it would look like. The power plant would be what we call a one-on-one which is essentially you'll have a gas turbine generator, and then you capture the heat from that and recycle it through a steam turbine generator. So that's what the one-on-one is. So you're able to sort of maximize the efficiency of the heat that's generated with the plant that way. So that's a pretty. I'm looking to see if there. Yeah, that's a good mock-up there of what we'd be looking at, and that's modeled to be in the actual parcel that we have. So the tree lines are accurate and things like that. Okay, so getting back to why we're here, there are, really quick, if you don't know, if you do, I apologize for wasting your time. The country is divided up into different regional transmission operating areas, and PJM is what we are sitting in here. Well, actually, we're close to MISO too, but PJM is the facility that we're going to be plugging into. That's what the Rockport generating facility is that AEP currently owns. PJM has said that they are going to likely have a baseload generation shortfall, that they have a need for natural gas here in the near future. So it makes sense from an industrial point of view or a power industry point of view as to why we would want to put that here. The rest of those points that are on that are what I had hit earlier when we had the map up. As I mentioned before, natural gas is the cleanest available way to generate baseload dispatchable power. We may use occasionally a diesel backup if for whatever reason the natural gas supply would be interrupted. It doesn't happen much, but it will happen from time to time, at which point we would have a diesel backup that would run as minimally as we would be able to use it. So there are also a number of, I think it's on the next slide maybe, there's a number of air quality permits that we need to run through both at the federal and the state level to maintain, to make sure that we're not going to be adversely affecting the quality around here. And early modeling that we have done already demonstrates that we'll be well within the national ambient air quality standards that the federal government requires. We'd be looking at using about 6 million gallons of water per day during the peak season. Most of that is used for a non-contact cooling system. Like I mentioned before, the primary place that we're focusing right now would be the watershed underground. We don't have plans at this time to draw directly from the Ohio River. That said, just to kind of put things into perspective, what we would be looking at is only 1/100th of 1% of what generally flows by on an average day on the Ohio River down here. So while 6 million gallons might seem like a large number, in the grand scheme of what passes by here every day, it's really not. We'd be looking to probably discharge about 1 million gallons of water per day on average. We're looking at different locations. There are different ways that you can discharge your water when you're finished. We're evaluating what some of those options are. I would say that going back into the Ohio River may be the leading candidate right now, but sometimes you can find other industries that might want the water for usage or something like that. So there's still some homework to be done on that one. And similar to the air quality, there's a number of federal and state regulations that we'll need to adhere to and permits that we're going to need to acquire in order to be able to discharge that water. On the timeline, we'd be looking, the next 2 years would probably be the development phase. The earliest construction date would probably be 2028. I'd say realistically we'd be looking more at mid-28, maybe even Q3 28. It's about a 3-year construction timeline, and so we'd be looking at operations starting up probably in 2032, and I would say realistically probably mid-2032 is what we'd be looking at today. The reason that shifts a little bit is just because of equipment availability and making sure you can get the different pieces of equipment in at whatever time you might need to construct. So this is just a list of some of the permits that I mentioned before that we would need to go after. In terms of local permits and approvals, some of those we are already going to start with. We filed a petition for a rezone as well as a height variance for the tower for the HRSG, the heat recovery steam generator. Our total our total capital expenditure on this project is likely gonna be over $1 billion. In terms of benefits to the community, we'd be looking at about 720 full-time construction jobs during the 3-year construction period. It always makes sense to hire locally when you can in those situations too. So, and if not, folks that come in from out of town would need places to stay. They're gonna need restaurants to eat in. They're gonna need all that stuff as well. We'll be looking at about 20 full-time jobs once this is all said and done, totaling about $1.9 million a year in annual salaries. Locally, from a property tax perspective, we'd be looking at about $36 million to Spencer County over the life of the project. That's a 25-year model, and about $15 million of that would be paid up in the first 10 years. So you'll see an influx at the beginning. It's not going to necessarily be drug out through the whole 25 years. So, $4.3 million in sales and use taxes as well. So essentially, we have a project website that we made live today. The website's up there if you can see it. We also have an email where members of the community can email us with questions. Anybody can reach out to me as well. I'm Dave Wagner, as well as Tom Brown back here. Tom Brown we brought on, he lives here in the area. We brought him on as our local representative to help communicate things to the community. That is a really fast way to go to talk about all this, but I'm happy to answer any questions for now, if anybody has it. But like I said, we just wanted to be here to announce officially who we are, what we're planning to do.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions?
When do you guys think you'll take this to the IURC? Is this something that needs IURC approval?
Yeah, we'll need to go to the IURC. I don't know, I'm figuring that out. The schedule, I don't want to get into too much detail, but you're always trying to time that kind of stuff out with when you're gonna start your construction. So I'm trying to figure out now when we can get the equipment in, and then I'm gonna back up from there. But I would say realistically, I'd probably hit them by June or July,
June
probably.
of this year?
I think so. That's also kind of not all my decision too. The engineers kind of have a little say-so in that, so once we get that schedule figured out. But that IURC process, I think, is 9 to 12 months probably, is what we'll be looking at.
So take it to them in June and then.
Yeah, and that would buy us a lot of time on the back end. So there's no real rush to go in there just yet.
Have you done procurement for some of your materials and your?
Yeah, we're fortunate that because of who we are, we have a great relationship with a lot of the tier 1 manufacturers. As you can imagine, if you follow the industry at all, it's a good time to be a natural gas power producer, right? So, no, we're very fortunate in that we have, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to say arrangements, but we essentially have a line on the equipment that we need in a time when it's challenging to get that, so.
So you're saying that you've already sourced those items out to build this facility?
Not all of them. And we have sourced a lot of them, and to be quite honest with you, sometimes some of those items might actually have to change, just because of the way that they're all gonna work from an engineering perspective, like something that you might have lined up right now, if you have to make some kind of change in the power distribution or whatever, you might have to nudge or adjust. But no, for the most part, the major equipment, we have a line on all the major equipment that we need.
And you said there's 2 gas pipelines, and they're about 2.5 miles from the park?
Yeah, like 2.5, 3 miles.
Have you executed any easements or anything to extend? Or?
We have not yet. We want to figure out which way we're going to go before we get into that. So we have some, we've taken a look at what it would look like depending on which way we go, but no, we haven't reached out to anybody about that yet. But we have had, both of the pipeline companies have indicated that they've got the ability to supply. We haven't signed precedent agreements yet, but we're getting pretty far down the road.
Are there, so you mentioned taking from right now the plan's to draw from the aquifer and not the river, correct? Mm-hmm. Are there any, any ag wells in the area, just, if you guys are consumption's 5 million gallons per day, is there any, because our aquifer is awesome, so groundwater's there, and if they've got it set there, then you guys come in and is there anybody that would be displaced locally within that area?
No,
Okay.
no, not that we've seen, and obviously we're not gonna be able to do anything like that, you know, if we were, so. But no, we've already conducted a water feasibility study with a national engineering firm.
What is the level of that parcel that you guys will have to?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I can let you know. I'm not an engineer and I don't have, or an environmental engineer, I don't have that number off the top of my head, so. But we do have it,
Gotcha.
so.
So those studies are filed with the state? That
But the water studies?
Yes.
No, not yet. We haven't filed anything with the state yet because we're still trying to figure out where the best place to source is gonna be. Once we get there, then we'll start kind of going down that path.
First of all, thank you for bringing this announcement to us. Who or do you have an independent power purchase with a company that will be purchasing the power you're creating?
We are in conversations with a couple of different entities. One of them we're going, I don't want to say super far down the road with, but we have a lot of interest from one. Obviously, for confidentiality reasons, I'm not allowed to say who that is.
So there isn't anything that is for sure of a purchase agreement, you're just having these conversations at this time?
Yeah, the one counterparty that I've mentioned, I think, is a little bit more, it's a little past the initial conversation point, so. But our intention is to serve utilities with this.
So who will be the end user?
Well, like I said, we would ultimately do a power purchase agreement with the utility. That's the plan, and then they would disperse it out to their customer base.
So I guess these possible end users wouldn't necessarily be Spencer County. You're just utilizing the area to build this facility.
Well, yes and no. You can't ever really tell an electron where to go. Like you'll hear people that'll say, "Oh, well, they're just going to sell the power to Chicago." We don't tell those electrons to go there. So, in developing something like this, you are helping to build resiliency, and sustainability is not the word. Resiliency, I suppose, and stability on the local grid that's around. So there will be a benefit regionally for the power plant being located here, but the end user may or may not be in Spencer County. Like I said, it's with this size of project, it's your customer is almost always going to be a utility, so you go to them.
I feel like I'm grilling you. I don't mean.
No, it's fine. That's what I'm here for. Let's go. Come
So
on.
you talked about local labor and vendors. Have you started that conversation with some of the local unions that would be involved in the project?
No, we haven't yet. The way that we do it is, the way that it works is you work with an EPC firm, engineering, procurement, and construction,
Okay.
and they sort of manage everything from there. So
So
where we're at.
they might have. You guys haven't.
Yeah, they very well may have. And to be honest with you, I don't handle that. Our engineering and construction group handles that. But I know that they've had a lot of conversations with the various EPCs. We haven't selected anybody yet. And then once they get to that, then they kind of turn and start looking to source that locally.
Gotcha.
What they can anyway. So. But no, ask as much as you want. That's what I'm here
Well,
for.
I had some written down as you started talking, but then it's all out. It was all most of it was covered already.
It's
So.
almost like we've done this before.
Yeah.
So what is the communication plan going forward with the county as you proceed with these different permitting, water study, so on and so forth? Who and how do you continue to communicate with the county?
A lot of times the way that we do it is I'm down here usually about once a month and meet with various members of county leadership. A lot of times I'll send out an email and say, hey, I'm coming down, who wants to talk? If we do have major announcements, then I'll generally reach out. Like if we get a water supply agreement signed or a gas supply agreement, then I say, hey, this is where we are in project advancement. But for the most part, it comes from just open communication back and forth. In terms of meetings like this, obviously we'll come in front of you guys when we need to. Like I mentioned, we submitted the petition for rezone, so I'll probably see you guys again at a meeting coming up here, if that advances and things like that. So I don't know if that really answered your question, or if that was, be more specific if you want. I'm not, okay.
For a frame of reference, 700 megawatts. How many average household? Like how much would that
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask me that question. I always forget, what, do you know what that number is, Jim, off the top of your head?
It's hard to give a number. We had our engineers work on this at one point. Peak load, how many people are in the house.
If
right?
it's
So it becomes
15
real-
degrees outside,
Yeah, he
yeah.
gave me the formula. There was a lot to it. So it's kind of hard to say specifically what the number of households are. I'll reach back out to him and see if I can get you an average.
I was just curious.
That might help.
I mean,
Yeah.
What was how much did this put out?
700.
700 megawatts.
I don't think, I mean, I asked almost all the questions.
Good, yes,
I don't think I have any
It's
more.
fine.
You pretty well covered them all.
All right?
I would think that over time from us hearing your presentation today, there may be more questions. so-
Absolutely. Yeah, and as we come back, as we get further down, like I said, today was very high level, very fast. This is what we want to do. Here's the high points. But as we come back in front of you guys, especially formally, like we'll bring our environmental engineers to talk about air and water. We'll bring our mechanical engineers, electrical engineers to talk, like we'll bring the people in front of you that could get into more of the details as those questions evolve. Because it's like with the kind of thing now where you just don't know what to ask yet, right? So.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't want to speak for them. I think it'd be about 460 to 700,000 households.
That sounds about right.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's significant.
Well, we definitely appreciate you considering Spencer County. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Looking forward to working with you over the next several years. And you can hurry up and get it started before you get started. I think me and you have already had this conversation a couple times, haven't we?
We did. So
Okay, I was just checking to make sure.
we do
Just
have.
making sure you remember.
I remember.
Okay.
You know, they're those darn federal permitting timelines, though. You know that you have to adhere to. So.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate it.
y'all. All right, we'll go to the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the meeting minutes March 20th, 2026.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Claims?
I'll make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Health Department?
We have nothing right now.
Okay. Sheriff's Department?
So we have a couple issues I was going to bring back in front of you. We discussed the selling of the vehicles. We worked up like a notice to bidders, kind of a mock-up on each one. It has their running condition. One suggestion I was going to make is at least put all of them out to bid. The ones that don't run, if nobody gives us a bid, then I think our alternative is to have them crushed. And that way, at least we give the opportunity for someone to buy one. I would suggest starting the bid at 500, and that's kind of between what we would get for crushing it and everything like that. That would be a starting bid. So if it would be okay, and if that's agreeable, we would like to move forward, get the pictures and get it to Melissa.
Any other questions on
So just
that?
for the motion, it needs to be all 4 vehicles, starting bid $500 for each vehicle. All right,
Is that your motion?
that's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay, I'll get with Melissa on that. And then the only other thing is there's been some emails sent out for the first steps of the Justice Center survey on kind of a kickstart meeting. So if there's some scheduling, maybe I can get with you. I think Mac's already done his. I think Heather, you've done yours. Jim, if you want to get with me on some opportunities. It's just the company giving a meeting, a high-level meeting of what it's going to go and what the timeline is.
Okay.
So, but I'll get with you after that, and we'll get that scheduled.
Okay.
All right, thank you all.
Highway Department?
Okay, the thing that I have is the bid for the bridge. After talking to you commissioners and going over the numbers on that, I'd like to make the recommendation to accept the bid of Durco's Construction for being the only responsive bid at the time.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
All right, Jen, I'll get you to sign this. And then, did you all have a chance to go over your RFPs for the old 45 project? Okay, I'll just
Jones?
I can come back, I can get with you later with that. Thank y'all, appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Anything else, Dale?
That's all that I have.
All right.
Thank you all.
We have mowing bids.
Okay, it looks like we had 3 come in. One is from Robinson Landscape. Okay, there are, if you guys may recall, there's 4 different bids involved here. They do have their liability insurance certificate. The weekly base bid for courthouse grounds is $124. The monthly off-season courthouse grounds is $125.75. The weekly season base bid for the LEC grounds is $74.50. And the mowing season alternate number 1 LEC grounds is $62. Again, that's Robinson Landscape out of Rockport. The next one is from Carson Braun. Braun Lawn Care. Their 2026 mowing season base bid for courthouse grounds is $135. The alternate number 1 for courthouse grounds monthly is $115. So I want to say that too. The season base bids are weekly. The off-season numbers are monthly.
Will you say that?
Sure.
Second part again?
So the monthly off-season alternate 1 for the courthouse grounds is $115. Then the LEC grounds seasonal weekly bid is $85. And the alternate 1 LEC grounds, which is monthly, is $80. Appears they have their certificate of insurance too. And then finally, Mike Ryan of 10-8 Lawn Maintenance LLC. And this one comes to, well, the base bid for the courthouse grounds is $120 a week. The alternate number 1 courthouse grounds is $100 a month. The base bid for the LEC grounds is $75 a week, and the alternate number 1 for the LEC grounds is $75 a month. It does appear that they have their liability insurance also.
I would like to see.
Sure. Pass the originals down.
Is there anybody here from the Ryan? I don't know who that is. I know we've had Walt here do this before and does a very good job. $4 a week, I don't think that's out of hand.
If you're looking for a motion, give me a second. Mac, did you want to look at these?
No. Using my calculator. Sister Agnes said I'd never always have a calculator with me, that I should have arithmetic. Joke's on you, Sister Agnes.
You're supposed to do that in your head, man.
Hey, I got a C in Calc 3.
I would like to make a motion, unless you want me to wait for your calculating.
No, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we award the bid to Robinson Landscaping.
I will second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Thank you, Walt.
Thank you. How soon can you get started?
Do you have 15 minutes?
I guess that'll be okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walt.
I also want to thank Melissa for preparing the bids where it states that we have an annual contract. So I know you've done this before and it does help, just knowing sometimes our spring starts sooner than later, so thank you.
Okay, for the Astra insurance renewal,
So I printed out copies of the summary that I emailed to you guys a while back. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at that or if you had any questions. It was a pretty good renewal this year, much more stable than last year. Loss ratio was dropping and it definitely showed up, so. And the only other thing that we had at the last meeting, we had talked pretty briefly about some of the properties that are leased to other, I think like the Purdue Extension Office, and making sure that you guys are listed on their policies as an additional insured. I did double check with Astra, their risk management team, and they said they would be happy to review those contracts as well and see if they make, but that's the main thing that they would be looking for. So they kind of confirmed that, and okay. You can see the increase is highlighted there in yellow, but the letters on the next couple of pages in red, the percentage of increase correlates almost perfectly with the increase in coverage amount. That was just due to midterm changes and things that that were added on throughout the year.
We need a motion for renewal.
yes.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you.
And then we have the signed proposal, Melissa.
Yeah. You do have that, Melissa, I brought a copy with me if you need it.
Yeah, will you stay after so I can?
I sure will, yeah.
All right, I have surplus guideline.
So we could just start with, when we have low value items, they come to Melissa and they're like, what do we do with these? Right now it is 6, is it 6 mats? Or how many mats?
Yes, 6.
So we have 6 mats, they're worn out, they're not usable here. So I'll make a motion that we declare them surplus. We offer them internally to other departments, maybe highway or the sheriff's office for your garages. And then if they're not accepted internally, that we offer them on a first come, first served basis to employees. Their value each is like $20. So we'll offer them internally first and then to employees after they have not been claimed internally.
Is that legal?
Yeah,
Okay. Just make sure we're legal, that's all I care.
for surplus.
For surplus. And part of my motion is to declare them as surplus.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And then I don't know if we want to just table this conversation going forward, but like what value threshold we should declare is a low threshold to that way this takes care of itself as it arises, other than the problem always being constant with Melissa. So
Well, I
we don't
would-
have to come up with anything right now. We could think about it, but
I would like to recommend that if we do have items that are no longer used in the courthouse, that we send an email to see if other county departments outside of the courthouse can utilize these items, I would think. There are many things.
yeah, I think we should put
them
it.
up for surplus.
Yeah, I think we should
So
put a
is there a
value.
standard, we need to use here, Josh, or what? what do you see on that?
Well, there is a standard, and I was looking for this beforehand, we were talking, certainly where we are right now on these, we don't need it, but I think whatever standard you guys want, I'd recommend we memorialize it in an ordinance, pass it and make it part of our municipal code. That'd be the safest, quickest way to do it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Anything else on that tonight?
No, I mean, Melissa, is there anything the SBOA, like, do they have a threshold that they consider surplus or
I
any?
didn't see anything in
Okay.
there.
All right. The SBS portals.
Yes, I am asking for some funding out of the commissioner's budget under the 1,433,000,068 fund to finish out my scanning project. There's currently $9,800 in there, and I'm asking for $6,000.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 6,000 out of the, dollars from 43,300.
Yeah, it's the COVID-19 expenses. But
All right, we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Anything else on that, Melissa?
How long do you think it'll take to, once you,
they're out of South Bend, so we have to schedule them to come and pick them up, and there's, I don't remember how many are in there, almost 100 books. So it's gonna take a couple months.
for them to scan the items?
To take them, scan them, bring them back.
All right. Opioid settlement.
A request was made from the council to review the opioid settlement ordinance. Our advisory committee has met and asked, effective April 7th, which is today, for requests for the next 30 days that can be submitted to the auditor. I know, Melissa, you have a request form that you would like them to use, which has been very helpful.
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind, for the next 30 days to May 7th, that is when we're opening up these requests for the opioid settlement dollars of restricted and unrestricted funds. At that time, of May the 7th, Melissa will forward those back to the advisory committee for our review. At that time, the advisory committee will make a motion, or a recommendation, I'm sorry, to the commissioners. If that works.
Works.
That falls under our ordinance, so I don't know if that's a motion that's needed. So
Yeah, I'd recommend a motion on that.
Okay.
I'm asking for a motion.
We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, anything else on that? Legal report.
Well, as always, fielded questions, but those don't generate action items. I want to return back to the surplus because I did find the applicable state statute here. The, if it's less than $1,000 for one item or $5,000 for multiple, or sorry, if it's more than $1,000 for one item or more than $5,000 for multiple, you're going to need to generally auction, bid, or sell that off. If it's less than that, and you've determined it's surplus, you can handle it as you want. That's the default rule. Now you can be more restrictive if you so choose. The other thing I'm gonna just steal, I guess I'll maybe introduce Mr. Stevens' issue that he raised regarding campaign activity here in the courthouse. So if you want to go ahead now.
Thank you. Yeah,
It's
that's
a bit of a
fine.
legal issue here. I'll introduce the problem.
I have been approached, and at this point, it's relatively unofficial, but I did reach out to Josh this morning and send him some information so he didn't walk into this cold. I have been approached that we are having campaign materials dispersed from county offices, and it's not in a written form, it's been verbal. I have not looked into it any farther than to do some research on the Indiana Code and to communicate with the Indiana Election Division. And this is what I have found. I've also found a couple of counties that have passed resolutions. Basically, what it says, and I'm not an attorney, so just take it, I'm paraphrasing, whatever, it is illegal to disseminate campaign literature promoting the election or defeat of a candidate on government grounds, government property. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I haven't done an investigation. I wanted to bring it to you guys because obviously county property is kind of your bailiwick. And you guys can do, if you want to pass a resolution or discuss it or say we'd rather people don't do this, that's up to you. If it comes to the point where we have to investigate it as an election board with a formal complaint, then we will investigate it, and it could lead to being turned over to the prosecuting attorney. It's that serious. It's a class A misdemeanor. However, the offense is a level 6 felony if a person has a prior unrelated conviction under this section. So
should we just send out a paper from the attorney stating that, please remember that?
No.
Is that kind of what you're?
you
looking
could
for
do that.
here?
I don't know.
What do you guys think on that?
My recommendation,
I think-
seriously, would be to do a resolution
Yes.
banning it from now on. But we've already had one incident around the state where a girl who's running for a clerk's office in another county was wearing her shirt in, basically vote for me,
Yes.
and she was told not to do it. So that's kind of how they handled that. I mean, it's not, I don't know. We've always kind of tried to stay away from it. If we were still voting in here, it would be more of a problem because 60 feet from the door, the building becomes off limits. We're obviously not voting here, so that's not that big an issue on that part of it. But you can read what I've got here, and I recommend us do something because I really don't want to go through this. We went through some
So I guess-
things a couple of years ago, and I'd really rather not go through this again. And I really don't want to go prosecuting attorney.
Okay, so let's, you guys want to forward this to Josh and have him write us up a resolution?
Is that?
Yeah.
Is
Is that okay,
suggestion?
Josh?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll make a motion that the attorney draft a resolution regarding this instance, and what should the remainder of that be? Disseminating campaign materials on government property.
Yeah, can we go ahead and send out an email department-wise?
Here's what I would recommend. To give it some officialness, you guys could pass an oral resolution now. And I will come back to the next meeting with a written ordinance that would memorialize that within the municipal code. And, just to give a little bit more detail here, part of, it's very clear that county employees cannot campaign on county property. Where I think some of the challenge becomes, is that when you're an elected official, you are bound by certain employee policies, but that particular state law doesn't necessarily apply to elected officials. So I think by passing a formal policy, you are covering everybody who effectively works here as the county's policy.
And this would be everywhere that's owned, that's county property. That's here, that's the sheriff's office,
That's how you want to.
You guys could read it. I mean, it says government property, and then it talks about subdivisions, political subdivisions, which we obviously fall under. Okay, and I mean, you've got what you've got. I printed out the Indiana code, and I actually kind of copied and pasted it, so it's not the actual out of the book. It is out of the book. It's just my version of it. I put it in red so I could highlight the pertinent parts. You've also got the response I got back from Angie Nussmeyer, who is the co-chair of the Indiana Election Division. And it seems like every time something wrong happens, I learn something. I guess that's where you learn the best, is from your mistakes or whatever. But she pointed out very clearly that elected officials are not considered government employees. So that's an interesting little tidbit in my mind. And then it also, I printed out the Indiana 36531, which is election law violations, investigations, and actions by the board. In case we got to that, And then I also printed, so that you would have a copy of it, the Boone County ordinance that they adopted in 2012. There may be some more out there. That's the first one I found that I thought it was pertinent and would serve its purpose, so.
Okay, so what do you want the verbal to be?
That's up to you guys, whatever, however you want to do it.
Basically, our Josh, pretty
Yeah.
well, what Max said would be a good.
Yeah, I think
verbal, or
it sounds
what
like
do you think?
you are wanting to ban political campaigning on government or on county-owned property.
During
I think the code,
working hours, I mean, that's not gonna.
Yeah, I think the code actually says during working hours or something to that effect.
Yeah, but if you leave it out, there's a good read that the code wouldn't allow. I mean, you can go beyond that. The code, you don't have to, you guys could be more restricted here if you want to.
And,
Okay.
I mean, this is behind, I know that you did your research, but we don't have an ordinance or a resolution on this already.
We don't, to my knowledge. I mean, you know, that's one of the things.
We don't have an ordinance now. There's a resolution that's tucked away in a file somewhere. You know, that's possible, but I'm not seeing it.
Hold on just a second, Tom?
You may want to check the employee handbook.
Yeah,
I believe there's something in the employee handbook, but again, as Darrell mentioned, that won't count elected officials.
Right.
Or you aren't employed, but other employees in the county are already
Well,
prohibited.
the state law already does that as the,
Yeah.
yeah. So the handbook is really just restating what the state law already says.
All right,
So,
Appreciate any help you can give me.
so I'll ask for a motion for the verbal.
Thinking. Can we make an oral that mimics the state law and then revisit this the 21st with something?
yeah, I mean, I think what you'll want to do is we'll have the ordinance read that becomes what it is, but in the interim, you can pass a resolution here.
So then, how do we, well, I'm sorry, let's finish this.
Maybe you could say, how about you put it this way, somebody could move, to prohibit soliciting contributions, advocating election, or defeating a candidate, or advocating approval or defeat of a candidate or public question by any member of the public or county employee or county elected official on county-owned land. County-owned property. Is that
We
too
got,
much for
we
you?
got the eye in the sky,
Cause I
so.
sure didn't get all that.
See, it's like anything pertaining to campaign literature. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be if you're handing out t-shirts, if you're doing
Right.
flyers,
We'll get it thorough
signs,
next time,
whatever,
but in the
any of that kind
interim,
of
the next 2 weeks, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will make the motion of verbatim what Josh has said and the oral resolution, and then we'll revisit the 21st with a written ordinance.
All
I'll
right,
second it.
we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I appreciate that, and I'm gonna be honest. When I went and did my research, before I went and confronted anyone or talked to anyone, I have mentioned no names nor offices that this may be happening from. So if you send something out, then please don't do it. If you are doing it, please ask them to stop. Okay?
Will do.
Okay? I would appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I don't want to
So
go
I
through.
assume that we're going to ask the auditor to communicate this to all the emails that we have for the county? Or how are we communicating that this just was orally?
She's on the ballot. I don't mean to be taking sides, but I mean, I can send it out if you would rather I do it.
I just wanna make sure that it's communicated, so
Okay.
I appreciate you.
I can do that. I'll send it to all
I appreciate you
department
taking
heads.
that.
And is that adequate to department heads?
Sound good.
Okay.
I think that's an excellent idea.
But that kind, cause since she is on the ballot, that takes her off the hook on
I think that's a good idea.
it. Okay. Sounds good to me.
I just wanna make sure it gets communicated,
You,
because a lot
when
of
you have
times
to
things get
communicate, just if
discussed.
you are doing or whatever,
Yes.
this ordinance comes, I'll get with you on
Yeah,
it. And by tomorrow, we'll get something sent out.
that sounds
Okay?
good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, as far as any of the other old business, I think we'll put our letter of recommendation from, I believe it's our economic development
Sure,
would you like to explain what that is?
I would love to. Chrissy Powell with Spencer County Economic Development Authority. I'm here to assist Frank Ingram with his housing development project. We are submitting a grant to the Lilly Blight Elimination Dollars, and we've talked to you all about it, and commissioners recommended writing a letter of support for us to go with that application. So that's what I'm here asking for.
I'll make a motion that we all adopt this letter of support for Frank and his development.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? How many you need signed?
Thank you. Just one.
Okay, you got it in there? Okay. New business, I've still got Mindy on here.
Oh, that may be, so I actually wanted to introduce Luke Shoulders. I think you guys know that Olivia Schiff left Shepherd, and he is gonna be the new day-to-day contact person for your benefits department. We just want to bring you along, introduce them, so they can meet you guys in person and
I didn't still have my speech there, but hello, thank you for thank you for your time. My name's Luke. I'll be your new day-to-day contact for the health plans for employees to reach out to. Chris, I'm really excited to work with you guys. Chris Maynard and I, alongside Carolyn Beck at SciHo, will be handling the medical insurance renewal. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, looking forward to working with everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other new business you all come up with? If not, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you all very much.